Anxiety and the distorted view of romantic relationships. Nowadays, anxiety has been strongly associated with a distorted perception of what we call a romantic relationship. Many people cling to the myth of romantic love, believing that a partner will provide comfort, care, protection, and a fulfilling intimate life. If we consider that the concept of romantic love is based on the idea of having someone who offers emotional support, security, and an intense physical bond, we realize that this ideal is, in practice, difficult to sustain over time. The initial passion may create the illusion that these three needs, attachment, care, and intimacy, are being fully met. However, a healthy relationship is built on genuine reciprocity, where both partners strive to offer their best to each other and receive the best in return. Moreover, a healthy bond should contribute to an individual's overall well-being, including their social and family relationships. In contrast, toxic relationships subvert this balance because they are based on control. Imagine a woman who enters a relationship with a man who has abusive tendencies. At first, he appears extremely attentive, constantly gives her gifts, and behaves in a charming manner. However, these actions are part of a manipulation process aimed at isolating her from friends and family. Little by little, this woman finds herself trapped in a cycle of emotional debt, feeling obligated to reciprocate his supposed generosity. This type of relationship leads the victim to feel guilty, as the abuser constantly makes her believe that the problems are a result of her own actions. Abusive and toxic relationships go hand in hand, as both involve dynamics of domination and emotional dependence. The victim ends up believing they need their partner to be happy and often fears loneliness to the point of accepting a harmful relationship. There is strong social pressure to be in a relationship, as if happiness depends on having someone by your side. This belief leads many people to remain in unhappy relationships just to avoid external judgment. Romantic love is often idealized, but in reality, the human brain operates through different circuits for attachment, care, and sexual desire. These systems are independent and may not always coexist in a balanced way. This explains why the idea of perfect, intense, and continuous love is unrealistic. What truly sustains a healthy relationship is both partners' willingness to invest in mutual well-being, respecting individuality, and fostering shared growth. Outside this context, the relationship can turn into a possession dynamic, and possession is not synonymous with love. Often, abusive individuals see their partners as trophies, something to be displayed to others. This mentality is similar to that of art collectors who acquire valuable pieces just to own them, without necessarily appreciating them. In abusive relationships, the partner is treated as an object to be controlled and molded to satisfy the abuser's needs. The misunderstood role of sex in relationships. Sex, in turn, is another aspect that can be misunderstood within relationships. There is no magic formula for a perfect intimate life. A true connection is built over time through communication, exploration, and harmony between partners. The concept of being good in bed is often associated with performance, but in reality, what defines a satisfying experience is the mutual exchange of pleasure and the willingness to understand the other's desires. Healthy relationships provide space for both partners to express their wants without fear or repression. However, in abusive relationships, sex can be used as an instrument of control. Psychopaths, for example, do not experience sex in the same way as ordinary people. For them, intimacy is a tool for manipulation, used to seduce, dominate, and emotionally trap the victim. They often present themselves as ideal partners, extremely passionate, but over time, they reveal their true nature, imposing submission and exercising power over the other. Recognizing the signs of an abusive relationship. The signs of an abusive relationship may be subtle at first but become evident over time. Manipulative people often use sad stories to evoke sympathy and secure their victims' attention. They oscillate between cruel behavior and moments of false remorse, creating an emotional abuse cycle that is difficult to break. Pity is one of the most powerful tools of manipulation, as it makes the victim feel responsible for the abuser's well-being, prolonging the toxic relationship. Manipulators frequently use gaslighting tactics, distorting the victim's reality to make them doubt their own perception and sanity. Phrases like "you're overreacting" or "that never happened" are common, undermining the victim's self-confidence and making them more vulnerable to the abuser's control. Another common strategy is emotional blackmail, where the abuser plays the victim, threatening to harm themselves or saying that no one else will ever understand them. This creates a sense of guilt and obligation in the victim, making them feel they must stay in the relationship to save the abuser or prevent a tragedy. Additionally, there is a gradual erosion of self-esteem. The abuser may alternate between praise and cruel criticism, creating an emotionally unstable environment. At first, they may idealize the victim, calling them special, but over time, they begin to devalue them, pointing out supposed flaws or insufficiencies. This weakens the victim's self-confidence and makes them believe they cannot move forward without the abuser. Another significant aspect is social isolation. The manipulator tends to separate the victim from friends and family, either through direct criticism or by creating conflicts that make it difficult for the victim to maintain external relationships. The more isolated the victim is, the more dependent they become on the abuser, facilitating their control. Finally, there is false hope, one of the main links that keep the victim in the relationship. The abuser may promise to change, apologize dramatically, and swear that everything will be different, only to repeat the cycle of abuse shortly afterward. This keeps the victim trapped in an illusion that the relationship can improve, making it even harder to leave. The mind of a psychopath, understanding manipulation and emotional abuse. One of the main characteristics of a psychopath is the absence of guilt and remorse. To them, people are merely tools to achieve their own interests, whether status, power, or personal gain. They enter the lives of others with carefully crafted stories, shaping their narratives to fit the desires and expectations of their victims. It is common for them to seduce influential or well-connected individuals, using these connections to expand their network and gain personal benefits. Psychopaths have a natural ability for manipulation and deceit, telling convincing stories with ease, without showing signs of nervousness or inconsistency. They are masters of deception, appearing empathetic and genuinely interested when, in reality, they are merely studying their victims to exploit them in the best possible way. Another striking characteristic is their emotional superficiality. Although they may display emotions when necessary, these reactions are purely theatrical and lack true depth. They do not form real emotional bonds and often discard people once they are no longer useful for their purposes. Additionally, psychopaths tend to be impulsive and prone to risky behavior, as they do not fear the consequences of their actions. Their relentless pursuit of power and control drives them to act in a calculated manner, often going unnoticed as charismatic and confident individuals. Finally, their lack of empathy and disregard for the feelings of others make psychopaths indifferent to the suffering they cause. Their cold and calculated attitudes turn them into social predators who see others merely as tools for their own advancement. Protecting yourself from emotional manipulation. For this reason, it is essential for each of us to develop a sharp awareness of ourselves and those around us. Self-knowledge is the key to avoiding emotional traps. When we know who we are, what we want, and what our limits are, we become less vulnerable to manipulation. If something seems too good to be true in the beginning, if there is excessive intensity and a disguised need for control, it's time to raise a red flag. Another fundamental aspect is strengthening self-esteem. The more we value ourselves, the less we tolerate relationships where we are not respected. People who feel secure in who they are do not succumb to emotional blackmail or the fear of loneliness. And speaking of which, we need to demystify the idea that being alone is a bad thing. The fear of loneliness leads many people to stay in destructive relationships just to have someone by their side. But being alone is an opportunity to connect with yourself, grow, and create healthier relationships in the future. If you are in a relationship and feel like you are losing your identity, that you can no longer make decisions without the other person's approval, that you are constantly trying to please to avoid conflict, or that you always feel guilty, it's time to reflect. True love should never make you feel small, inadequate, or trapped. Real love is about two people sharing their lives, without one having to erase the other. If you identify yourself in a toxic relationship, know that leaving may be difficult, but it is not impossible. Seek support from friends, family, and, if possible, professional help. You deserve to experience a love that brings peace, not suffering. Healthy relationships aren't those without problems, but those where both partners are willing to grow together, without fear, without control, and without emotional games. True love frees, strengthens, and transforms, it never imprisons. Red flags: how to identify manipulators. Developing a critical and investigative mindset when starting a new relationship is crucial. Someone who has had multiple chaotic relationships, always presenting themselves as the victim, may be repeating a manipulative behavioral pattern. Learning about a person's past experiences can provide clues about their character and true intentions. Healthy relationships are built on respect, mutual care, and freedom. Being aware of signs of manipulation and abuse can help prevent harmful involvements and ensure more balanced and fulfilling relationships. At the end of the day, true love should never feel like a prison. It should be a space where both partners grow and strengthen each other. And don't forget to subscribe to the channel. That helps me keep bringing more videos for you. If you think someone could benefit from this content, share it with your friends. Thank you all.